Yeah, it was really fun. It was really fun. Yeah, so Lisbon, it's all its its glory. It was really awesome there, and awesome to meet you and so on, and to like speak with you face to face about what you guys are doing with Jupiter and what you're building there. From my perspective, at least, it's been kind of a rocket shoot for you guys, because most of the people I'm acquainted with in the crypto space that operates on Solana is kind of using Jupiter for their swaps or their trades now. Which is really cool. I'm a fan myself. So I'm really curious though, like, how did you guys start? Like, where did that idea come from with Jupiter?
Well, I mean, it's not a hidden secret, but we're the same team behind Mercurial. So, so we operate both protocols, Mercurial and Jupiter, and so Jupiter actually spun out originally as the it was actually the swap code for Mercurial. So basically, what we had done was that so at the time with Mercurial, we had actually originally brought up UST to we brought UST. We were the first to bring UST to Solana, grow that to 100 million in liquidity, and then we were also one of the first people to support Parrot in making Pi one of the sort of core stables around Solana, right? And at the time, though, like when you bring over these new stables, right, there just isn't a lot of utility for them, right? Like most people, and still today, most people are using USDC, USDT as the core stables. So what we wanted to do to increase the utility of UST and Pi and whatever other stables we might end up bringing, we originally built out a cross protocol swap with Serum. So where you could then access all of Serum's tokens, and then so you could take your Pi, you could take your UST, and then you could swap it to any other token. So that added some immediate utility, and then people who were holding UST could swap it to a token if they to any other token that they wanted to use in order to interact with another DApp or protocol, or if they're just trying to ape into a new token, right? So that swap we had an amazing feedback from the community. Like people really loved it. They used it a lot, and we realized. I mean, there were a lot of reasons for starting Jupiter, but one of them was that we realized that the swap being a part of Mercurial is quite limited because we artificially limited it to just being about swapping from stable to any token or any token to stable. So it's just stables, but it doesn't really have to be, right? It would be more powerful if it could be go from any token to any token, right?
Yeah.
And we just realized like this deserved to be a protocol in and of itself, right? And one where we could devote our time not just aggregating Serum, but also just aggregating everyone, right? And then also I think the timing in Solana also ended up being really well, like work out really well for us because a lot of AMMs and DEXs were coming online. This was around the time before Orca even blew up. So then Orca was just massively growing their liquidity pools, right? And so then you started to see a lot more AMMs and DEXs come on. So it wasn't just Radium and Serum anymore, right? Now you've got Aldrin, Dex Labs, Orca, of course, and there's tons more coming online.
Yeah, there's so many.
There's so many. And then at the same time, too, you had an explosion in tokens, right? So all these tokens are coming online. And so basically, it's sort of the perfect time for for a liquidity aggregator to kind of make a really simple UI for people to discover to get to any token, to do a trade against any token, from any token to any token, literally any token to any token, and find the best price routes for them. And so, and actually, it just so happens that, I consider, I think of Jupiter. I feel like we're a very product focused team, and this is sort of a really good fit for us because we are the kind of people to put in, to do all the hard work to make aggregation easy to use, performant, and work really well for people, and something we do like day in day out. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of been crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it was the right move, and I guess the way I'm seeing it, like I said earlier, there's so much appreciation for Jupiter right now, and so there was a huge demand for what you guys are doing there. So it's pretty cool. And
Thanks.
one thing that I really like about it is I'm not really sure how to use it, but I'm intrigued by the get alpha part of Jupiter as well. And both in your Discord, it's a pretty good conversations there in your Discord, but also on the website, like this get alpha, and you can see like the most searched coins on CoinGecko and trending on SolScan and so on. What gave you guys that idea? Because I haven't really seen something similar before.
Yeah, so we I mean, community is really important to us, and I think having a strong connection between community and product is also like building out both in a way that makes sense, right? Is key to, like, I think, the long term growth and sustainability of any protocol. And for us, because we're all about getting the best trades, we think it's so important to build a strong trader community, right? And if you look at people who are attracted to Jupiter anyway, right? Like we have a tagline, right? Like, Jupiter is for smart traders who like money, right? And it's kind of true. Like if you come to Jupiter, right, which means you're leaving the easy, comforting home of swapping on Phantom, right? There are a lot of people who are just okay with the convenience of swapping on Phantom, even though Phantom charges 0.86% fee on top of their swap, and their swap only really connects to Radium, right? So not only you are not getting the best trades, but you're also paying a big fee, right, for that convenience. The people who realize that, maybe they're not getting the best deal, right, and that they can go somewhere, they could literally take a click, go an extra click, and then go somewhere else to get, a better deal on their trades. These are people who really care about their trades.
Yeah.
Right? So like, what? It's not about like, oh, whatever's easiest, and so we kind of attract those people, and we're trying to build out Jupiter in a way to make it a home for everyone, for people who want to trade and want the best trades. And so a lot of them have a lot of good alpha to share, because they're searching for things that interest them and where they want to invest in. And then also what we realize is, like, we have a lot of data. Not only do we have a lot of data, but also there's a lot of data from other places like CoinGecko and SolScan, right, from various partners. So if we can bring together all this great data to surface out like new tokens and things that you could be trading on, and help like really great traders share their alpha, I think we can build a great home for people to just connect and share tips and tactics and things with everyone else.
Yeah, I'm happily surprised seeing the activity regarding like the chats in the alpha on your Discord. Because coming from been doing a lot of trading myself, it's not something that you easily share, like your alpha, with other people, right? You want to front run them, so it's really impressive.
True.
Yeah, so it's really impressive that you guys have managed to create such an environment over there, to be honest.
Yeah.
And you spoke a little bit.
I'm pretty sure that.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say I'm pretty sure that they traded before they shared, but it's okay.
Yeah, well, you always got to keep that in mind, right? It's probably just shilling his bags,
yeah.
No, jokes aside, I've been reading myself in the alpha chat group over at Jupiter's Discord, and I myself found some really interesting information there that I investigated myself later on and so on. So it's really cool. Thanks for sharing that the idea behind the alpha thing there. You mentioned also something related to fees, and as far as I know, you guys don't take any fees, right?
Yeah. So that's really important for us. I think the thing you're going to see is that a lot of people swap is actually turning out to be a big revenue source for a lot of protocols and dApps. And whether or not people realize it or not, a lot of protocols are building out swap. I mean, we're talking to a lot of people, so they're building out swaps, and partly because I think, and I think there's nothing wrong with it. Everyone has different strategies for how to build up sustainable revenue and to be sort of viable and successful in the long term, right? And so you're seeing DEXs and AMMs build out their own swaps, and when they do that, frankly, they're biased, right? They're always going, and one reason why they do their own swaps is that they want to preference their pools, right? So not only are they taking a fee on the swap, but they're generating fees through driving swap volume to their pools, even if it's not the best trade, right? And so their LPs can make money, they can make money, and it sort of kind of works in their little in sort of the it's not really a walled garden, but like it's in this sort of this area in the dApp that they're building, right? And so the thing with us is that we're a very, very focused product, and our job is to give everyone the best price trades, right? And so for us to do that, we have to make sure we just can't take any fees, right? Because the exchange is already taking fees. If we add fees on top of it, then there's no reason to use us versus go somewhere else, right? You might as well go. We're not going to build out our own liquidity pools. We're not building our own wallet, right? Where we can have kind of, maybe you could say, like, if you have a wallet, you sort of have some ownership around the some retention around the users, right? They're going to always use your wallet, right? Like, you could use us or not use us, like there's no. So the only value to return and come to us day after day is if we keep delivering the best price trades on Solana, right? And so we think like there's not going to be a lot of people who are going to like invest. Like it's a very hard day-to-day focused work, right? Because you don't come back, like people won't come back if we don't do that, right? If we start doing other things. So for us, it's like, all right, it's really simple. We keep improving the UI, we keep improving the algorithms to make sure you get the best price trades, and we don't charge a fee on top of that. So that way people can ensure that they're getting the best from us.
Yeah, and there's questions piling in now regarding the fees, like, how do they earn money and so on. But we'll save that for like the AMA session a little bit later. Yeah. But that's very interesting, and it must be very challenging technically to follow up on this, like the promise you guys have with the best price for each swap and the best selection of tokens as well, and so on. So with that said, what would you say is like the most challenging aspect of building an aggregator such as yours, like technically?
Wow. Okay. So I'll tell you the hardest thing technically right now is staying under the transaction size limits. So there are a number of things that we'd love to do. I mean, we still don't have we've done a lot of tricks to add in features and various things in order to fit everything in one transaction, right? So our job, the most important thing for us is to make sure that when you do a swap, it fits all in one transaction. And the nice thing about that is that if the trade doesn't meet your slippage requirements, it just completely rolls back, right? There's no dust, there's no residual, everything just, it'll either work or it doesn't work, right? Depending. So we do a lot of work to make all the routing, so we can support up to one hop, 2 swaps, and all the different routings, whether it's Orca, Serum, Orca, Radium. Well, not Radium, but Radium Serum, Radium Orca. All these different things, right? All these exchanges, they all have to fit inside.
Well, I'm trying to think about it myself, and it's just woof. It must be a huge freaking challenge, to be honest. Like the way you painted it up, it's So
So not only that though, but there's a number of so not just the routing, but one of the new things that we're focused on delivering for partners, right? So we have our SDK out to allow other people to integrate Jupiter's liquidity aggregator if you want to. And one of the things we want to do is help other protocols or dApps, if they want to, charge a convenience fee and use swap as a revenue source, we want to allow them to do that too, right? So we're actually working on building that in. That just even adding those parameters into our into a single transaction, we're already breaks our transaction limits because we're right up to the edge right now. And so we're doing more work to try to fit that in. So that way, partners could charge something, right? If they wanted to. And that's sort of our value actually, because while we won't, and if you come to Jupiter, we won't charge a fee. If someone wanted to integrate us and they said, hey, we're providing value and we want to charge a little bit for our own protocol, we want to allow them to do that, and the user still ends up people will still end up, because our price savings is so good, a little fee on top of that, you could still the user, everyone still wins, someone is still getting a good trade. The protocol is making some revenue on it to be sustainable, and so everyone kind of wins. And so we're working on that, and again, the difficulty is fitting it under one transaction. So we're actually butting up against that. So beyond that, there's a couple other things that make it hard. So one is that you might notice, some people might notice this, but for very popular trade routes, the number of routings, are starting to grow. Like they can go as much as some of them could be 500 routes, man. So for us to calculate 500 routes very, very quickly, this is something we're continually optimizing on, right? And the routes keep growing because there's new liquidity sources coming online, right? And new tokens coming online, right? So, I mean, if there is a new token coming online, even if it's a new token, right, and with its own market, right, this can create a whole new number of routes, right? And you can kind of see this if you ever go into Jupiter and you click on the more button, right? It's kind of fun. I encourage people to look at what are the worst routes, right? Just scroll all the way down and find the worst routes, right? And you'll see some weird things. I mean, not weird things, but things you wouldn't, you route through tokens that are just you would never think of, right?
Like routing through Woof token or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even think that's weird, but there are some really weird ones out there, right? And it all depends on the liquidity or that market, that sort of market pair, right? What's going on there, but every token that comes online, that's going to add multiple routes. Every new liquidity source that comes on, it's going to add multiple routes, and then keeping that So that way, like, ideally you're getting all the route calculations done, say within, I don't know, say a couple hundred milliseconds. This is something that we have to continually optimize for. So, and again, this stuff just gets harder. Like it doesn't get
it's
easier.
like next level problem solving right there, man. Holy macaroni.
Yeah.
I'm getting like exhausted just trying to think about the problem itself. Oh, that's super interesting to hear. Those aspects of it, and it's going to be interesting to also see how it develops with other projects, perhaps integrating Jupiter. Yeah, but you launched on was it October the 13th? Was it?
Yeah. So we launched on October 30th. It's only been I guess like a month and a half.
Yeah, not long.
Yeah, things have gone really fast. And what's really funny is that because we launched straight from, I mean, there was no DevNet. We went straight to mainnet. And funny enough, this is a little fun fact, but actually we never developed on DevNet. So there are some people who are asking to integrate Jupiter, and they're like, "Oh yeah, can I test on DevNet?" And it's like, "Oh, sorry, DevNet testing doesn't." We ourselves didn't do it. We just went straight to mainnet. Because we had working mainnet code from Mercurial that we just had to refactor. And
that's pretty hardcore, man. That means that you guys got some serious skills.
Yeah. It's pretty hardcore.
I'm surprised to hear that, to be honest. Like, I never heard anybody else having the guts to pull that off.
Yeah. You know what? All props to Shong. He was the one. I'll tell you something. Like, there's always this balance of like, do you wait till you're ready or do you go, right? And I'll tell you, like, at October 13th, we didn't have everything done, and there's a debate on the team, and we were talking about this. I was like, look, maybe we should get these things done first, make the product more solid and then launch, right? And then Chong really pushed for this, which I think turned out to be the right thing, which is that, like, people need to know we're doing this now. It's really important that we're out. It's more important than being perfect, right? And and so we launched
trap, right?
Yeah, we launched, and we knew it. We knew it wasn't ready, actually, to be honest. And actually, our launch we got a lot of shit for it, right? Not because there's anything wrong with our code, but because and these are the things you don't actually discover until you launch. But there are a lot of these serum quirks that we abstracted away being a swap, right? Like one is the open orders account rent, and the other one is the tick size for serum. Which means that if you say you want to swap like 100 USDT to serum or something, sometimes we can't take the full 100 because the tick size on serum for the token isn't precise enough, and so like we'll take 98 or 95 or something because of this weird quirk of serum, right? And so there's all these weird quirks that like people didn't understand, and so and we didn't have the UI. We didn't actually explain it clearly enough in the UI. And so like people were thinking we were charging like 0.05 SOL for fees. Like they thought we were charging a lot of fees, right? When in fact it was like rent for the serum stuff and then some of these other quirks. And so we had to go through this period of like actually improving the UI to be more clear, explaining to people what's going on, and helping build out the tools to fix a lot of these things, right? Actually, it's really interesting. I'll just share another interesting thing is that so we were working on helping people. Unfortunately, you can't close out, and this is from the Serum people, like the way Serum works, like for some reason you can't close out the open orders account within the same transaction, right? Which would be ideal. If you could do that, then the user will never see the rent, right? because they create it and then it closes out and they reclaim it, right? Unfortunately, you can't do for whatever reason you can't do it in the same transaction. But we actually worked really hard to at least improve the UI and the flow to make it more understandable and kill some corner case issues. And we actually discovered a lot of weird shit going on. So I don't even think people understand like some of the early rawness of a lot of the dApps. So a lot of DEXs actually use Serum underneath, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of them aren't handling the open orders Serum account correctly, actually. And what we discovered is that some of the people, we don't know how this started, right? But there is actually, so when you create an open orders Serum account, you need to associate an owner to it, right? Like the owner of the user, like the wallet, yeah. Right? It should be the wallet, the wallet owner.
Exactly.
But a lot of people were creating these things and forgetting to actually assign the owner to the open orders account, right? And you know what we did? Like we actually, there were just these dangling open order Serum accounts, just dangling, no owner to them. So we went in and attached owners to it, and then claimed all the residual SOL. Like, I was hanging out there. There was like a ton of open order accounts with no ownership. They're just sitting around with nothing. Like just anyone can claim it and then close it out and claim the SOL. So we actually went and did that. It was like, but the thing is, like, I don't think people understood, like, actually that, I don't know which DEXs were doing this or if it was an early alpha or beta, but you need to be careful when you're operating against a DEX. So if a DEX is actively doing this, they're creating the open orders account for you, right? And then they leave it dangling and they don't assign your wallet as the owner of it. Then you actually can't.
A regular user understand this? Like how would a regular non-tech user see this?
I actually have no idea how they would know this.
Like the best way would be to use Jupiter just to make sure that everything is in order, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, so this is the thing with our team. Like we're pretty rigorous about this. Like like I said, we want to do things the right way. So we this is the kind of work we put in behind the scenes to make sure, we're responsible for everyone's funds.
I think one of your strengths with, because I'm thinking back to what you mentioned, that you didn't launch on anything on DevNet, you just went straight to the mainnet. But one of your strengths has obviously been that you've been kind of having this tight communication with your community and develop your product hand in hand together with them. I think that is one of your main perks, so to say, or benefits, or whatever word you want to use. And also sharing this kind of information is quite interesting as well. So one more reason to use Jupiter, I suppose.
Yeah, no. We wouldn't be anywhere without our community. Most of the fixes and most of the things that have been developed are ideas and feedback from the community, and it's going to be more so. We're actually going to we have a great. I think I've been saying this at every AMA. We have a great vision and a great plan for Jupiter. I just can't share the details. But all I can say is that we are. It's going to. We're going to be working really hard to make this even more community focused. And it's going to be awesome. I honestly can't wait to share the details. It's going to be amazing.
I can't wait myself. I mean, as a regular user, I want to be part of the ride to some extent, at least. Look, well, it's really cool. Yeah. We're reaching half an hour here.
Yeah.
And I have one more question for you. But before I deal with that question, I'm gonna talk directly to the audience now. So there's two things to the AMA today. So one thing is everybody who has the Marinade role, we're going to do the same thing as we did in the Open Kitchen. We want everybody now who has the Marinade role to write an emoji in the chat. And look at the chat now. I'm going to write a planet emoji. So just write this emoji And if you have the Marinade role, I will check after the AMA and include you in the lottery for 3 NFTs from our dear friends Lazy Heroes. So I'm not sure if you saw Lazy Heroes website. They're pretty cool NFT projects. So 3 lucky Marinators will receive 1 NFT each from Lazy Heroes there. So just paste that planet emoji in the chat, and I will look through it once the AMA stops and pick the winners with the lottery wheel thing you guys probably seen me use previously. So while we're seeing a lot of planets entering the chat here, I'm also going to address the next fun little game here. And I didn't talk with you, Ben, about this previously because I wanted to save it as a surprise a little bit. But so we have 100 Marinade tokens allocated for this. So 100 Marinade tokens. So the one who asks the most interesting question to Ben in the AMA will receive 100 Marinade tokens. And it will be our friend Ben here that would pick the winning question as we close the AMA. So try to come up with some interesting questions here for Ben, and you might win 100 Marinade tokens. And this does not require the Marinator role. So the NFTs and the planet emoji, that's for everybody who has the Marinator role. But the best question is for everybody, no matter the role. And Ben will pick the winner in the end of the AMA session. So with that said, I have one more question. Well, 1.5 maybe, because I was quite impressed when I saw the volume of Jupiter the last 30 days. I mean, we're talking about you guys not even 2 months, and the volume you guys have is pretty impressive. What I saw was like $1.2 billion. Is that correct, Ben?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
I mean, that is insane.
Yeah.
So
actually, since we started tracking, it's 1.7, but just in the last 30 days, it's 1.2.
Yeah, so, it's very, very impressive. And it's really good stuff. So you guys shared some interesting thing to us in our like kind of Marinade the Jupiter group chat we have about the MSOL gateways, which I found really intriguing as well. So like from your perspective, building on Jupiter and seeing all these trades and seeing all this data, where have you seen like MSOL finding its place in the trading space, so to say, through Jupiter lately? Because just if you want to share that, because I found that pretty intriguing when we talked.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of really interesting insights coming out of the data, right? And I think the thing that we talked about, which is like, I mean, honestly, I think it's a credit to you, your team, to Marinade, like what you've done, which I think is amazing. Like you guys are awesome, man. Like really, really, really good executors. But I think the your earlier efforts to really make, to build up liquidity in MSOL everywhere has, I feel like, paid off, right? So not only are we seeing that, like, so like the short summary is that MSOL is at the top of all our charts, right? It's at the top of our trading pairs. It's at the top of our tokens. It's the top buys. It's the top sells, right? Which is incredibly impressive, right? It turns out only about 70% of that volume is direct, right? People actually doing, I would say, an MSOL. They're selling or buying MSOL, right? The interesting part, and I think the cool thing about having an aggregator that can do multiple hops, right, is that, we don't like, we're unbiased, right? We're just trying to find the best price trades, no matter what token you need to swap through to. And in most trades, right, like there's most of the best trades go through some intermediary token, right?
Yeah.
And it turns out that for a lot of, I mean, this is not for all token pairs, but for a lot of the popular token pairs, which usually involve SOL, USDC, USDT, something like that, right? For those high volume popular trades, MSOL underpins the best routes, right? And what that means is that it's actually cheaper. Like if you're going from USDC to Sol, right? It's actually cheaper to, route through MSOL to get to Sol than to go directly from USDC to Sol, right? And you can ask like, well, why is that, right? And I think a lot of that. Oh, and sorry, just a step back. So 30% of the volume that we see for these trades is because of this, right? Is because the end user isn't necessarily interested in MSOL or SOL. It's just that MSOL happens to be like facilitates the best trade, right? So about 30% of that volume. And I think to your credit, a lot of it is due to the work that you guys have done to really build up liquidity in a lot of different places, right? And where it just so happens that the exchange through there is just a better deal.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I'm of course very happy to see and hear this myself, but also quite surprising. I did not expect this at all. So yeah, it's very cool that the MSOL has found that kind of position as well, on top of everything else it's useful for.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for sharing your insights regarding that. So what do you say, Ben? Should we deal with some of the questions in the chat now?
Yeah, let's do it.
I have about like 20 minutes left. So there are several interesting questions, but there was some cool questions in the beginning about CoinGecko. Let's see here.
Yeah.
So the question is as follows. I'd like to understand from Jupiter. What I'd like to understand from Jupiter is their integration with CoinGecko. Every time I preview a trade, there is also an indication, for example, 2.8% more expensive than CoinGecko. Why would you trust CoinGecko as a source of the value of a coin more than all of your other direct sources that you have, etc.? A pretty interesting question.
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. So actually, what I would say, I mean, look, especially in the decentralized world, it's not necessarily I don't think you should look at any data and say like this is necessarily the source of truth, right? I think they're just really helpful guides. Okay, so for us, like CoinGecko generally has pretty good reliable data in terms of say the market price of a token, right? The reason why we did this, we did that feature was for a specific use case, and that use case is that it turns out the most times when you're showing like price impact for a trade, right, it's actually due to slippage, which is related to the size of your trade and the liquidity in whatever the market is, right? But it turns out, like, especially maybe for new tokens or tokens that have poor liquidity, right? That like, or actually, to be honest, there are even some cases where like people are kind of gaming serum markets, but in a lot of cases, like, and I'll give you a real example that I had someone tell me. They were actually trading wrap BTC on Solana, right? And there was like, and actually like, there was no warning on price impact, right? Because the size of their trade didn't cause their slippage, didn't cause any change in that, right? However, that market, like say it was a serum market, right? The order book on there happened to not have market rates, right? And actually, if there was no warning, they actually did this trade and they lost half the value. They got half the value of what they should have gotten, right? Because they didn't actually know, they weren't. You'd actually have to know that ahead of time that like this is the price of wrap BTC and that I should get these tokens, this amount of tokens, right? Because
kind
this
of
is what
manually calculate it, right?
Yeah. And so the thing is like what you really need. So the CoinGecko feature is sort of like I would say like a protection. I mean, a helpful indicator in terms of like, are you getting a reasonably good price compared to what CoinGecko says this token is worth, right?
Okay, I get it. So some kind of like reference point, yeah?
Right, a reference point, right? Where you might not be getting that, right? Like you just might not be getting that because there's just a lot of markets that just aren't as liquid, or there's some or you have a shallow order book or something. Like there's just some stuff going on, right? And it's not due to your trade size. So that again, this feature is to help protect people. We're just trying to help give them some extra information to help protect them from like potentially having a bad trade.
Okay. That's really, really interesting. I did not understand the reason for the CoinGecko thing, but now I really get it, And it's nice that you provide such a feature for people. It makes things easier, for the regular person when it comes to the trading overall, like including myself. So
yeah, I would say some of the challenges, just share a little bit more. There's a challenge with us abstracting away the Serum DEX market into a very simple swap interface, right? We make it really easy, but at the same time, like you're not able to see the order book, right? And I've seen some strange things. Like I've seen some markets where like say like the order book like has market rates, but the order sizes are small, and then the next set of like sell orders are actually horribly off, like it's like a weird, it's like a really funny thing, man. And I'm like, what is going on? And then I feel like people are just gaming. I mean, you can only do this in a very, sort of illiquid market, I guess. But like, I've seen some funny things like that. And I've seen people get gamed, they're like, oh, this rate looks good. They don't look at the slippage, they're not paying attention to certain things. And they're like, I'm just going to go. And then they put in a big size and it's like, whoa, dude,
I think it happened to most people, to be honest. Like even the more seasoned people when it comes to this swaps on different dexes. Like I remember clearly myself, like burning my fingers a little bit on Uniswap like a year ago in a similar fashion like that. So, okay, cool. So shall we move on to the next question?
Yeah, for sure.
And this has been asked by many people, by Darkness, Mark, and several others. And let's see here. Yeah, okay, I mixed up with another question. So, how does Jupiter earn money? Where does the revenue come from? There's no fees or anything like that. Is it a charity project, or what's the plan here, Ben?
I'm thinking about what to share. I actually don't want to. I feel like I don't want to reveal our big vision. I don't want to reveal our big vision too soon. But maybe I don't know. Maybe it's worth sharing. Okay. Look, I guess we've shared this in certain contexts. So like, I'll just share hints of things. So like, two things, right? One is that we're going to move to a DAO, right? So it's going to be very important for the future for Jupiter to move to a DAO. In some ways, we're going to let the DAO decide on revenue. There are definitely revenue options, right? But
interesting.
But I mean, there's definitely revenue options. Like I would say, like
I think it's very clear. Yeah, I mean, I think it's very clear options, I guess. You're essentially waiting for the DAO to take form and make the community and the DAO part of this process.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's basically what we're doing at Marinade, right? With the Marinade token.
Absolutely. Like the one reason why I think like we're kind of simpatico because I think there's a lot we can learn from you guys in that sense. And so one thing is that we want to move to a DAO. Second thing, we want to open source our code. One of the things that we have talked about is that I'll share one of the ideas in terms of revenue. But if you think about things in sort of this DAO open source world, right? One of the ideas we've had is that, like, look, we're going to give the ability for anyone who integrates with us a way to add fees, a convenience fee on top of the swap, right? And so our goal is, and we just ask that, like, you allocate a portion of the fee to the DAO, right? And it's up to you to decide, right? As a partner or an integrator, right? And the idea will be that, like, the reason why you would do this, right, is that now think about the open source nature of this, of eventually this being an open source project, right? Is that fund, the part that you give back to the DAO funds the contributors, right? And what'll end up being is that, like, because as time goes on, this is just going to get harder, right? And so for us to maintain and to continue to improve and both the performance and the routing and advancing the protocol, you want a greater army of contributors to help. And every partner, anyone who wants to add Jupiter or use it as a revenue source for their protocol will be incentivized to give a little back to help fund those contributors. I think, right? We're not going to enforce it, but I think you're gonna want to do that rather than have to dedicate your own developers to do to maintain and do these develop these features. But
sharing
that's sort
and caring.
of I think sharing and caring. This is going to be a new interesting model that we're gonna try out. But I think we're a big believer in this thing. I think letting people decide is the right thing.
I think so
honestly,
too.
Yeah, I mean, it's all transparent, man. Everything's on the blockchain. People are going to know if you decide to contribute back to the project or not.
Yeah.
like it'll be on chain. So.
But we have the opportunity, I guess, we and other projects building on in the crypto space to actually build together with our users. Like instead of like building 40 users, we're building together with them in a different way than in the legacy world, I guess, which just comes with a lot of strengths, right? But it's pretty interesting to hear this DAO approach, and it's so similar to how we have planned it out for Marinade's own token as well. It's essentially kind of the same approach to it. That's really cool to hear. So what do you say about moving on to the next question?
Yeah, for sure. Let's do
it. This is from Toothbrush, and he's saying, what is the most important or ambitious feature that you want to add to Jupiter?
Oh, this is a good question. Probably in the not the absolute near term, but one of the most exciting ones that people have been asking for. But we're going to wait till after Solana increases the transaction limits. That's going to be split trading. So, and for people who don't know what split trading is, basically, we will chop up your trade and route it through a couple of different routes to better optimize your trade, right? So if you're doing kind of a whale size trade, maybe it's like $20,000. We could split it up into like smaller chunks, right? And route it through smaller pools, where the slippage isn't that bad, right? And then just get you a better rate that way. But it'll also work for.
That's so cool.
It'll also work for highly liquid pairs too. Like a lot of the like the meme coins or some of the newer tokens that have like smaller pools that are in different areas. Like maybe there's a small pool on Orca, there's a small pool on like maybe there's like a 500,000 pool, on Orca and a couple 100,000 on Radium or something, or or Serum or Aldrin or Dex Labs or whatever, to be like to chop up the size into smaller bits so that way, and then route through that automatically in one transaction. That's gonna be sick, man.
Oh yeah, that's. I mean, split trading. That's also cool.
Yeah.
And this is not a question though, but it's because I found this so interesting. And smart and all, he wrote this. This will kill arbitrage bots. Would you have any comments to that?
I mean, the thing is that I mean, I think it's even happening now that people are building arb bots on Jupiter. I mean, honestly, you can arb on Jupiter right now, like, so, I think and to a certain extent, we're encouraging it. So I mean, honestly, and I think long term, this is good for Solana, to be honest, because it's there's not enough people. Like, there's some weird, funny things things aren't getting arbed. Like, I mean, I think it's changing, but I'd say a month ago there was some weird stuff where it's not getting arbed. Everyone's chasing LM and nobody's arbing, and then all of the mechanics, so all the AMMs are fundamentally built that they work only if you arb. So like, if there aren't people arbing, there's some weird stuff going on.
Yeah, like I think it was. I noticed that myself as well. It's just I think that Solana is pretty young still, to be honest.
Yeah, it's really young, man. It's really young. I mean, there's good reasons why. Like, the utility for a lot of tokens isn't there. There's not some. I mean, they're just. You need to really get adoption, which again, I think I'm really impressed with what you guys have done. Like, I think out of all of the other protocols, you really have pushed MSOL out everywhere. And I wish more tokens did that. Like, I wish more people with tokens would do that. Because it's hurting. That's how you. That's actually why I think what you see. There's some interesting things going on where, if you look now, actually, a lot of routes. We recently integrated Aldrin, right? And Aldrin actually is underpinning a lot of routes between a lot of other token pairs, right? And even though it doesn't have like the most liquidity, right? Like, its markets, but I think actually one reason why it underpins that is because of the sort of low volume, low liquidity it was having. Maybe its pools were not as, or its markets were not as the token,
like mature.
It probably, there was definitely, it wasn't, I would say, like, maybe maybe there wasn't enough arbing, right? So like the actual market value for the trade the pair was probably like really off balance or something. This is why like some things run through, some trades run through, because you just get more tokens going one way than you would, and then you could use that to buy more tokens. This is what's the crazy thing about Jupiter is, like, we'll find these inefficient markets, right, and route through them to get you the best tokens, right? And so I'm still looking into this, but I think it's partly because of the long tail of these markets, these new pools that are coming up, aren't really quite being arbed. I mean, this is all going to change the more stuff gets arbed, yeah. But like, I don't know.
No, I get what you mean, and I also seen like there's not enough arbitrage really yet on Solana, to be honest. So we have like 2 minutes left. We might go over like a couple of minutes of the schedule here,
sure,
just to handle one more question, and we'll go with. There's two good questions. One from Crypto Tom and one from Kike Fungazoid. But I'll go with Crypto Tom's question. So what would you say? So Tom is asking how does Jupiter differentiates itself from similar apps? And yeah, what makes Jupiter like special compared to competitors?
Besides, we're the best.
But is it perhaps something related to the community aspects of things that you talked about previously, or is it something else that you think that sticks out?
I mean, community is definitely something we really care a lot about. I think it's I think it shows, and it's definitely a differentiator. I think our focus is another differentiator. A lot of people end up doing aggregation plus they're going to do their own liquidity pools, or they're thinking about cross chain, like building cross chain from scratch and everything. And right now our current goal is just to be the best on Solana. We have an amazing vision again that I'm when we announce it, it's going to just blow everything out of the water. Like I think this is going to really be a game changer. Which I wish I could
then that is I guess a guarantee. That's gonna be really
yeah, it's gonna be really, really cool. I'm so excited for it. I just can't. I'm so giddy for it. But cool. I mean, beyond the obvious things, I just think that our team is I mean, the intangible thing is like our team is like the kind of team that really cares about this stuff,
Yeah.
And we just honestly we just want to build like we just want to continue improving and building this product for people. Like it's not that's it. Like it's just who we are. And so that's why we're really thankful for the people who use it, who give us feedback, who help us improve, who contribute and help out the community, and help us grow this thing. Because we get to do the thing that we care about, which is work on this, amazing protocol for everyone.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's fun. It's fun for us.
Well, I can see the fun in it as well. Like your Discord community is pretty awesome. And to kind of try to wrap this up a little bit, I would encourage people to visit the Jupiter Discord and take part in the interesting things that are happening over there. And also, if you want to try Jupiter and you haven't tried it, or if you tried it and didn't see it, I would also encourage you guys to go to Jupiter and then check out the when you do like a swap there, you will see like the best rates you will get for that swap. But if you click on more, there's like a huge freaking list of like more than 50 alternatives. And all of that happens in like, milliseconds. And that is what made me, get really excited for Jupiter when I first started using it. When I saw that huge list, I just realized like, whoa, this is some serious stuff happening in the background. So I would look into that myself as well. So from the questions we brought forward here, Ben, do you remember some question clearly that you think was the most fun to reply to, or?
Oh gosh, the most fun. Oh wow. They were all really good questions, actually. They were all really good questions, and I'm really impressed with the community, man. Smart and all, who's from the Jupiter Discord, man. I feel like he could, cool. he could he looks like he's ready to sell Jupiter himself, man. he's got some good answers already.
Yeah, he has a SMB in his profile photo, so I like him already.
Oh, nice. Invictus is in the house too. Nice.
Yeah. So, did you enjoy the CoinGecko question, or was it perhaps the question about the how you guys would make profit? You started sharing some interesting alpha there regarding the DAO, or was it perhaps the question about the most important or ambitious feature, or was it the last question here? How you differentiate yourself? Which one would you say that you enjoyed the most?
Oh gosh, what was the first one again? What was
the first one was the CoinGecko question.
Oh, the CoinGecko. Yeah.
I enjoyed that one. That was a good question.
Yeah, that
I
was a
learned
good
something
question.
from that myself.
Yeah,
I
I
didn't
really
know
like
the DAO ideas as well, though.
What's that?
I didn't know about the DAO ideas that was connected to the question about how you guys will make revenue. So you think the CoinGecko one was the one?
Yeah, let's give it. I mean, they were all good. I wish I could give it to all of them, but I thought the CoinGecko one was good too.
Okay, let's go with the CoinGecko one. Yeah, and that's Prodromo, fellow Marinator. Actually, makes me happy.
Oh, nice.
And for everybody else who's a Marinator, I'm going to now, after we end this AMA session, I'm going to look through everybody who wrote the planet emoji, and you gotta give me just 10 minutes or something like that, so I could just add everybody to the sheet and spin the wheel, record that one, and share it in the channel and announce the winners of the Lazy Heroes NFTs. So you just have to be a little bit patient with me here. And Ben, thanks a lot for coming here to our Discord and sharing all of this super interesting information. Honestly, it's been very educational and entertaining at the same time. I learned a lot myself, so I can imagine our listeners also enjoyed it too. So thanks, Ben. And I hope to come over to your Discord and talk with your members as well. It would be awesome if we could do that sometime.
Yeah, we're definitely doing it. I think it'd be amazing. I mean, I have questions for you guys. Oh, first of all, thanks for having me. It's been fun. Love you guys. Love the community. Love everything you're doing. We should definitely do more together.
Looking forward what we could do together in the future, man. So
same here.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, man,
Awesome.
and enjoy the rest of the Friday night over there. It must be like 7 o'clock or something like that, your time?
Yeah.
Perhaps dinner time then now.
I don't even know anymore. I just close the window blinds and then have the lamp turned on, and it's daytime all day, man. Just for all of you.
It reminds me of that meme, when there's a family dinner and then there's like this somebody in the attic, like some like pale guy, like, do you want to come down and say hello? It's like,
I'm gonna just be hanging out indoors with my shades, like rocking my shades, and just cranking away for everybody. That's it. That's all I do.
Well, it's because of that dedication of yours that we all can use Jupiter. So thanks a lot, Ben, and speak to you soon.
Awesome. All right. Thank you for having me.
Thanks.
Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.
Cheers.
Good night. Bye. And for those of you still listening, again, thanks a lot for participating. And give me a little moment here, and I will sort out the winners for the NFTs. So I'm gonna end the stage here right now. Thanks again, everybody.